Who burst into syncopated song, a sardonic gumshoe with a nice line and dry ripostes, a great deal of extremely raunchy sex and erotic fantasies, and Robert Downey Jr. It's the film version of Dennis Potter's controversial TV hit, The Singing Detective.
Meet Dan Dark.
Are you experiencing some kind of visual dislocation?
He's just trying to keep himself together.
What do you do for a living?
I'm an author. Detective stories about a gumshoe who warbles.
He's almost over the edge. I think that Gibbon should see him.
Gibbon, my book. It's full of clues.
This was one sick pup.
I know the clues are supposed to lead you to the killer, but what if they reveal the victim a little more clearly?
Mr. Dark?
Now, in order to put the pieces together,
You can look, but you better not touch.
he'll have to revisit the mysteries of his past.
What happened to your mother? It's the tree barn. It's tempting to believe that the poisons of the mind have erupted onto the surface of the skin. Come to grease me, did you?
If you're ready.
Oh, nice to see you. Nice to see you.
Nice to meet
We
you.
saw a preview of it last night, and it's a stonker.
I mean, just let's explain the plot a little bit to anybody who didn't see the original series, because it's quite complex. Like Potter himself, your character, Dan Dark, is suffering from this dreadful skin disease.
Yeah.
Psoriasis.
Yes, a virulent form. Hospitalized by it.
In a sense, all the sort of the visions you get of doctors and nurses and everybody, and the sort of singing and dancing and everything, it's you sort of losing a grip on reality, really, isn't it?
Yeah, they call it visual dislocation. But I think, you know, yeah, he's nutting up, and the pain is so great, and he doesn't want to take the medicine because he's trying to not go under completely.
Yeah.
So he knows well enough to at least try to have some, you know, control of his faculties, but he's a miserable sod, and he's making everyone else miserable around him, which is his desire. And
it's his journey, isn't it? Because he's had an extremely disturbed upbringing. There's an awful lot wrong with him in his personality, and he's almost psychotic, really, in some ways.
Yes.
And really, the film is in his own head. Because he has these extraordinary fantasies, as you say, of, you know, theatre staff suddenly bursting into song, and all that's beautifully done. And boy, you can sing, because you actually sing at the end of the film, don't you?
I do a bit, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Initially, I said, oh, well, why don't I do the songs? And the director, Keith Gordon, said, well, Potter was really clear that it's not about the next actor going, I can sing, because he knew that some joker would say, well, why don't I sing the songs? It really is about how we take on the voices of our pop culture icons.
You look, I mean, that makeup must have taken ages to put on.
Well, it was a suit, wasn't it, in the end? It was too much hassle to put on.
For the full body stuff, it was a suit. I remember from the series how amazing the makeup was for that. And it was a much more kind of flaky type.
Dry.
Yeah, but we didn't want to imitate it, so we went more for kind of when it's oozy.
I was gobsmacked because there's an awful lot of full-on sex. Which is fine, as far as I'm concerned, you know.
Yes.
But a lot of full-on sex in the first 5 minutes. In fact, our 17-year-old son was in the room with us, and, you know, of course, he's our son, so he would be embarrassed, but it was all kind of, whoa, no, my mum and dad are in the room with it, I can't watch this. It's strong stuff, though, isn't it?
Yeah. At the same time, it's all contextual in that it's not, you know, it's not gratuitous at all. It really is essentially his take on sex being something kind of violent and disturbing, and he's uncomfortable with it.
There's a great clip, actually, of you being counselled by the doctor who emerges to take over your case, and it's played by Mel Gibson. And they said you won't recognise Mel Gibson when he comes on.
Him.
And, you know, we had an argument for about 2 minutes. That's not Mel Gibson.
Yeah,
you guys are prone to those, aren't you?
Yeah, yes, yeah, you've read.
Yeah,
interrupt me, Judy.
he's Dr. Gibbon. Let's just have a look, and if we can see Mel and you together.
Whistle. Scream.
Silence.
Young.
Green.
Old.
Mick Jagger.
Rock.
Cradle.
Crash.
Green.
Wake.
Sleep.
Lie.
Tail.
Writer. Liar. Sentence.
Prison.
Cage.
Thorn.
Mother.
Murder.
Love.
Fallout.
Passion.
Pretense.
Woman.
Dirt. Death.
Start.
Stop!
It
He
was
looks
Gibson's baby,
just
wasn't it? It was Gibson's
extraordinary.
baby, this film.
Yeah.
Didn't he give you the script when you were in rehab, famously?
Yeah, well, if you could call it that. I was kind of out the other end of things and had a mild legal infraction, and so he was coming by and dropping off, you know.
Came by helicopter, didn't he?
Yeah,
Dropping by
right.
chocolate. So glam.
You always wonder if you're going to turn around and he's taking off in a helicopter, yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, listen, we won't dwell on all the rehab thing, but I have to tell you, and this is a British perspective, and it's only my perspective, and I'm not speaking on behalf of all our viewers, but certainly in this country, I think we've got a damn sight more of a civilised attitude towards people who do occasionally slip into drugs problems. Because it seems to be, reading the reasons that you've done time in jail, it's simply that you've been found to have been using drugs at a time when you're on probation, and that's an infraction, and you got banged up for nearly 3 years on one occasion, and well, you served over one, just for using drugs, not for selling them or pushing them or dealing with them. A lot of Europeans would think that was pretty damn harsh, to be honest with you.
Well, yeah, and yet every case is different, and what it was I basically was going back to the same judge time and time again, or a couple times, and he
got fed up.
Well, he was, I believe, embarrassed because he was pro-recovery, and I didn't really run with it so well. But believe me, it wasn't like I was, on camera with him, out of the courtroom going, all right, let's do this together. I couldn't even know his name for the first year. So he overreacted somewhat.
Yeah, well, I must say I agree with you. I think he did overreact. I think to get over a year in a jail, you were next door to Manson, for heaven's sake.
Yes.
For basically being found... Well, you missed a compulsory drugs test. Now, if you're a sportsman, that probably gets you suspended for a couple of years. But to get you in jail...
Well, I was suspended, all right.
And the other thing struck me as well. You couldn't... If it was the other way around and you're a British actor, you couldn't be promoting this film in America because they wouldn't let you in with the drugs conviction and doing time. They're so strict about it. Anybody gets busted for doing drugs in this country, you can say goodbye to going to America. I
mean, I know you think the public gets tired of being told whether you're sort of clean at the moment or whatever, but you are trying very hard, aren't you? I mean, you're not claiming that you've recovered.
Nope.
Completely.
Nope. Because that's part of the setup. I mean, and any time someone has had 16 Bloody Marys and then, got up that Sunday morning and said never again, and then by Sunday afternoon they're saying, well, just a hair of the dog, and to tell you the truth, I think of The Singing Detective as kind of entertainment therapy. You kind of got to sit there and it flashes back to some incidents from his childhood, and by the end of it, this is kind of like therapy, about an hour and 2 minutes into it, you're like, I'm so done. Can I get out of here? And then you stick it out and something cool happens and you're glad.
Yeah. Well,
you're fantastically popular in Ally McBeal. It's a shame that you're not doing that anymore, although I understand why. But just to underline your music talents, can we just see a clip from that just before we go?
Wish I had a river I could skate away on. Oh, I wish I had a river.
Very good. Fantastic.
I know that was Joni Mitchell, but was that your arrangement on the keyboard?
Vonda Shepard, who did all the music for Ally McBeal, arranged it, I just showed up and sang.
Well, it's good to see you.
Thank you.
Good to see you looking well, and the very best of luck with the film.
Appreciate it.
Deserves
Thanks
it.
for having me on.
Great pleasure.
Okay.
Thank you.